Welcome back to Satisfactory. Alright, today we're going to start the process of building our mega factory. We put in our one-click iron factory, and now it's time to get going and start doing the business. We've got a few things that we want to do today. We want to finish the stairs on this side. We're going to zoop a little concrete just to get a sense of where we are. We might have to do some landscaping. We want to plan the entrance, and then we're going to zoop some stairs to kind of get a sense of how we're going to go up and down this thing so you can just go from floor to floor. We're going to leave room for some hyper tubes, and then we're going to plan how we're going to do the lift, just so we have a method in mind when we go to build this thing. So many mega factories fail because you don't have a clean way to get items to the top of the thing. So we want to get that planned out and ready to go. But first, we're just going to finish these stairs. All of these around the reflection pool is set up for height. So we're going to maintain that. That also gives us a stylistic choice that allows us for a little bit of a service layer on the bottom. Already liking the reflection on the reflection pool. So somewhere in here is the center. Looks like it's a two foundation center. Let's just assume that whatever... Ooh. Well, that's not going to work. I was going to pull it from here, but I don't know if I can count on that. I want to make sure, without a doubt, that this thing is lined up, because if we mess up, we're never going to change it. Whoa. Obviously, we'll delete this, but we want to make sure 100% that we know where we are center-wise. And even though we're technically on our own grid right now, we want to make sure that we maintain it. Let me just clean this up real quick. I don't want to leave it there and have it be gross. Breaking the flow, the awesomeness that is the reflection pool. Three foundations from the top of the stairs is our standard setback easement. Now, the problem is I don't know exactly what the dimensions of this thing is going to be. I think a power tower is what? 4, 6. So if we said 8. I want to leave room for a power tower. I believe a power tower is 4 internal, 1 unit on each side. So that's 6 by 6. And then 1 unit for walking. That'd be 7, and then 1 unit to be sort of comfortable in this space. That would be 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So power tower would go kind of right in here. And then I'm basically proposing this be level 0, this thing. That's a little high, I have to admit. Let's do a little landscaping on this side, just so we have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. So I don't. Let's double check the size of this area. Eight by 7. Ugh. No, I guess 8 by 8. So, power tower, to me, is always going to be my original battery storage, infinite reflection build out. And I know the game has decided to call power towers the thing that you use to move electricity long distances, but I like mine better. So I just want to get a sense of what we're talking about size-wise. So this purple is the walkway. And pink will be the core of the tower. And then the infinity mirrors go around that. And technically, these corners are columns. And then, so that's what the power tower's space is looking like. So from the corner of this stair, we want 8. Then we want a space. It looks like it'll work. The only question is, do we leave a walkway here? To this side. So I could do dueling power towers. I'm suggesting they just walk from there straight in, and you're basically in it. we're out of concrete. Our digital depot should be uploading. It's just going to be a while before it is really something that's going to help us. I mean, it's definitely helping us, don't get me wrong, but when you're spamming concrete like that, it's going to be hard for the digital depot to keep up until it's able to store multiple stacks at a faster rate. We've got a ton of stuff that we can dump. Leaves and wood. So let's think a little bit more about minimum sizing of a mega factory. One thing I mean, the 4x4 blueprint is still a popular form factor. If we go into smelter, will it tell me all the recipes that the smelter can use? No. I think it's 5. I think it's iron. Well, there's one way to do this. Iron ingots, copper ingots, deuterium ingots, steel ingots, but those are technically on the foundry. Iron, copper, deuterium. Why do I feel like I'm missing one? Let's do our research together, shall we? I also want to make sure I'm not missing any 1.0 specific things. Deuterium, copper, iron. Aluminum scrap goes into aluminum. Ah, so I'm glad I checked on that. So there's 4 of them, technically. If I were to use... Sorry, let me finish my thought here. If I were to use smelters throughout and exclusively, and I wanted to have... Smelters are at 30 per minute. If I wanted to have the option, but not the obligation, to work the fastest belt, which is now tier 9, it's 1200. $40 smelters on a single belt. So if I were to put on a 4x4, how many of these can I fit? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.5, but that leaves no room for design, right? So 1 per, what number did I say? I said 40, right? So that leaves us with at least 40 deep. That's starting here as the outer wall to the actual factory itself. $40 deep on a smelter. You could just say 4x4, right? If I were to go with the full 4x4 scheme, say we leave this as a walkway. $40 by $40 is a long way. If I put so here's where I'm having trouble. I'm trying to visualize how we're going to put in the logistics as well. But I think let's start by just saying 40 by 40. There's 6. That's 20. And we're already in the rock over here. We cut it in half. I mean, it's going to be a very long time before we need it. We could make every row kind of like 2x'd. So instead of one row equaling a belt, we'll make one row equal half a belt. That should fit on 40, or 20, excuse me. And then we need 20 plus 1 for a walkway. 5 more high. Oh, I forgot to grab concrete. Whoops. That was the whole reason why we took a break earlier. Is that the same height? I mean, I guess I'm going to have to count 5 on 5 as correct. Effectively, we're saying 22 at this point. 1, 2, like that. 1 foundation for walking all the way around, plus 20 foundation spaces for the construction of factory machines. Those numbers might not be perfect yet. We got to think about one more thing before we get going too much. What level is this? Is the question. This might be the... If this is the storage level, row like this, you could have the inputs come in always on this side for every floor, and the outputs always go out for every floor. But in my mind, it makes sense to go in and then out on that side. Now, that's going to make the belts a lot longer than they need to be, but that's going to make the lifting... This is a big-ass factory. That's going to make the lifting of this reasonable. you know? So it's basically the FedEx model. Everything that gets created goes back to the... I don't want to say it's the service layer, and I don't want to say it's the storage layer. It's the item hub. Question is, where does the item hub go? It could probably go here. The only problem is we know that we're limited by this chunk of mountain. Yeah, I think 5 is the right height. Working on the stairwell scheme at this point. The problem is if we try to wind it back this way, how does this side look fully supported? I guess a vertical ramp. The double-sided ramp is the answer to that question. Do I have the screws on me? Yes. Thanks, Digital Depot.
Where would we be without foundations? Probably a bit lower.
All right. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Are you gonna make me gap that with a foundation like that? Does that double ramp really do me any good? Looks like a single ramp could work. That's kind of a Roman Colosseum style staircase, but let's zoop this out to see where. So we could make this the service layer. Just like we use this space to lift up the Pioneer, we could use it to lift up the parts. If we're going to do this, though, that means we need to add 2 more to this. One for the upload and one for the download. The part I don't like is that it feels like this is going to be totally dead space right here. But that clipping is just... that's rough. And this is even before you start talking about service layers. I think we got to make use of this. At least this level, for sure. So this will be our storage, our item hub level. I want to have this walkway. Am I thinking about this wrong? I mean, I could have the service layer and just basically build a little catwalk above it and then not have a service layer. Just have the little catwalk. I'd probably want to purple this, mark it as the walkway. Let's see, where are we? We have finished the stairs. We've definitely zooped some concrete. We've done some landscaping. We've planned the entrance. We've got to zoop some stairs. We've kind of already done that. We want to make sure we have room for hypertubes. So a hypertube room would be smart. So you're coming up. It's majestic. It's awesome. I think we could use part of this junk layer, wherever that is. Where is it? Down here. We could put the hypertube room in here. I mean, even if this building ends up being 50 stories high, we're not going to need all of this space for hypertubes. I didn't exactly leave myself space to get in here, did I? It's the hypertube room. And somehow I got it in upside down. That's the hypertube room. That'll allow us to use this level without totally leaving it to waste. And then this level, this is where we'll start the storage. Now it's a question of how high do we want this to be? theoretically, this is your walkway. And this is your input side. I think this stairwell is going to be our everything, right? It's going to give us the opportunity. We might consider it being part of our hypertube, but at the very least, it's going to give us access to power. Refineries don't fit in here, so we might have to do something special for refineries, or not have the refineries be part of the mega factory, which seems terrible. So maybe we'll just have, like, because it's only off by so the refinery level might be 2-story or something like that. I could say from a want to be able to upgrade it reasonably in the future level, I think only 2, so that way you can get in here, and if you put one in here, you can't get to it. You can get to these on the side, but then you won't be able to get to this. I guess if you really wanted to, you could put one in the middle and call it a day, but then you wouldn't be able to put anything on this side. Well, let's try it out. Well, you could still get in between here to upgrade these. Alright, I mean, 7. That gives you plenty of room to lift things up. And then I'm thinking, ooh, we're over an hour. And then I'm thinking, so iron ore comes in here, gets stored, then gets belted all the way to this side, lifted up, processed, gets belted all the way to this side, and then pops down in a different shaft. It's 4 minus 1 foundation height. Gonna have to keep that in mind. And the reason why you'd want multiple versions of this is so you can deal with multiple iron, right? You might want to process a lot of iron. Screws, definitely going to be an issue. This technically goes up here, though. More like so. This will be the downside. But it'll be the upside for this side. Ooh, see, now this is why you think these things through. If the iron ore comes in here, goes across, gets stored, comes out, goes this way, gets sent up a level, gets processed as iron ingots, then gets sent back to this side. It's gonna come in here. So the only problem is the initial iron ore. That's the only thing that's going to be weird. The initial inputs are going to be a little wacky. It's going to come down. It's going to be here. We could theoretically service layer this, but we will be limited if we do that. I think we're going to catwalk this thing. So you're going to enter, maybe keep a single on the ground level. I might not have any catwalks. I remembered that I had those for when I needed them.
Shopping is an essential human experience, enriching both the economy and human lives since the invention of society. Congratulations, you live in a society.
Wow. These stairs are... What are they trying to do? Why do they work over here? What am I... And then we could put storage bins in here. The question is one level high enough? I feel like that's setting ourselves up for clipping to an extreme amount. So to answer my own question, the answer is no. We probably need to go up a second level. And then go out using the catwalk. Where is the... So that would be how we would set it up. Now I'm curious, can we go 2 levels? Probably not. Probably back to the same problem we were having before. Yeah, that's going to be Clip City. Easy enough to test, though. All I would need to do is put in a... and then a merger. Put something in tall like pipes. I mean... it's technically clipping. I could make the standard. See, the unfortunate thing about that is that this is the logical height for these storage containers. Looks like 2's our maximum height on these. On odd numbers, usually a little easier to deal with. Though push comes to shove, I could go like this. It would just be twice as much, but it would be 3 times the storage. I'm okay with this, actually. The only part that I got to figure out is how do we want to deal with how many levels? I mean, we're kind of asking for 3 levels based off of this design. 1 is easy. Otherwise, everything will have to go over. It had to be higher than this one. Well, that'll go to flat if I pick the right height. I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, that's the max. No jumping allowed. I mean, the other thing you could do is just kind of accept that only short items go here. Most things will fit without clipping. So one like this, and then one like that. I mean, that allows for a pretty dense factory floor. That's an easy mode, 3 entries. If we really wanted it, we could just add more stuff here, right? Just drop in more stuff. That's not a real big deal, actually. Not a real big deal, actually. That's pretty straightforward. We'll also make note that we can only have 2 industrial storage containers tall, which, again, not a big deal. We'll entry into the first one, go up, over, down. Entry. Oh, yeah. It works. It's just this side is the wrong side. So you enter in this side, go up over here, come out over here, go in over here. On that side, come down. Oh, there's a problem here. Up. So you enter, you go up, then you go over, then you come down. I'm gonna have to actually build this. Three is superior, but we've locked ourselves in at a particular height. Locked is a little strong, but you know what I mean. So if we're storing all this stuff, we want to come in using this current build out as an example. in, then go up. Let's just use this as a source. Right, so the processed item or the raw ore comes in. Then we lift it up. So now it goes from there, from here, up to here, over to here, then we're back to here. You know, the question becomes, we probably don't want to output on the same line as this input. We probably want to output over here. So that's a nice 6 industrial storage containers worth of buffer. And then when we're done, we'll continue the road here to use this elsewhere. Right, so this as an input has to go down to this road, down to this side of the factory, which then gets lifted up and processed. Sent back down to this side, which gets lifted down. Is that a thing? Dropped down and into storage. And then it's just a matter of how many of these storage buffers do we want. And then I might, now I'm designing and kind of doing the next video a little bit here, but I would probably drop something on here just to let you know what you're dealing with. And I probably do the same thing on this side. So if it's ever empty, you know why, you know what it was supposed to be. So far, no need for power on this level. None of this is permanent because we are definitely sketching. The only thing that I worry about is we might not have enough room for all the items to come down to this level, storage-wise. I'm also thinking about digital depots. Might not have enough space. For a digital depot. Definitely won't work on the stack. Because we need to go higher by 1, and we don't have room. Yeah, for the one that has the digital depot, this will have to just be a single with a digital depot on it. Or this one will. I think this one. No? Ooh. This is going to be tough. We'll have to figure out digital depots in the Mega Factory storage depot or storage depot blueprint. But I think we've got the basics set up. I think before we get started, we'll have to go through and fully foundation all of this. But this is our storage layer, and then this as our smelter layer. I think we got plenty of room. I might end up with like what did we decide? Deuterium, copper, iron, aluminum scrap. So we could easily have one belt for each of those. I'm guessing 4x4, that's 5 on 20. So 2 of those, that leaves us with 10 belt lines. No, wait. It's 20 by 20 on each side. At least that's what it's going to be. If we assume that we're going to have 1 smelter per 20 by 20, that's 400. That's a lot. Yeah, we could easily put in like 2 full lines of copper smelting, iron ore, deuterium, and aluminum scrap, like times 3, with plenty of space. And then all the fixsmith stuff, that'll have to be a separate factory. We're not dealing in fixsmith stuff in this mega factory. It'll all be determining on how we decide to get aluminum over here. But that's definitely something we can think about in a future video. I am liking how this is coming together. We'll have to see if I want to build a power tower now and get that infinity mirror in place. How tall do we want this power towers to be? Lots of questions to be answered in a future video. Thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.